from being an accountant for that person for an hour. So it's not barter, but it is time, and everyone's hour is the same. And I realized, after being a CEO of this company for a year, which I loved, it's the best company I've ever worked for, and it's the most extraordinary idea that I had seen. But I realized I'm not an entrepreneur. And I really appreciated what Ping was saying about what does it mean to be an entrepreneur. And I realized I am not an entrepreneur. I like entrepreneurs, and I like to be around entrepreneurs. I like helping entrepreneurs, but I'm not one. Because it takes a very specific kind of person to be an entrepreneur. It's a very specific kind of passion. And that's not the one I have. So I'm a member of TimeRepublik, just like all of our users. And as a member, what I was doing was what I'm passionate about, which is helping people. And I realized that's what I should be doing all the time, instead of flying around the world pitching to venture capital. And so I realized that it was time to step down, which I've now done, and continue to help them. And they're doing great, and I'm really thrilled for them. And they send me to wonderful places like this to be able to tell people about how it works and what we're doing. And to show people what trading in passion is really about. To show people what it means to think about working from a place of passion. So, what I do now is I arrange people's thoughts and feelings to change behavior and experience. What the hell does that mean? It's really tough to explain. I'm not really a coach. I'm sort of like a healer. And I think the best thing I can do is sort of demonstrate it to you. Because one thing in thinking about social entrepreneurship that I really appreciated Mr. Cho said was that we have to, give me 1 second, I want to remember exactly what he said. He said, we have to identify the trauma, which I think is very important, and I think it's something that we don't think about a lot in terms of being an entrepreneur. And Ping said this victim mentality is getting in the way. And the victim mentality is something that I work with very closely and say, well, how do we take responsibility for everything we just experienced? How do we step up into a place of responsibility? Okay. What they don't tell you about the brains of entrepreneurs is that they work exactly the same way as everyone else's, in that they have feelings. They have a lot more feelings, maybe, because they're constantly in traumatic situations. They're up 24/7. And what they don't tell you is that when you have a strong feeling, a strong negative feeling, an upset, what happens is the blood goes into your amygdala, which I'm hoping will translate, but something like your lizard brain. It's the part of your brain that puts you in fight, flight, or freeze. And when you're there, you make bad decisions. We've seen lots of entrepreneurs make bad decisions. It's coming from the amygdala. And there is a way to move that blood into your prefrontal cortex. Your prefrontal cortex is where possibility happens, where creativity happens, where you can sit in a paradox and see the possibility and see the intricacies of the subtlety and what's happening and that sort of thing. Basically, it's the opposite of being in your amygdala. And let's see, the best way to explain it is you have your intention that you're trying, as an entrepreneur, you have your intention that you're trying to put out into the world. And let's say it's a light coming from the center of your chest, and it's going out to a projection screen. And if there are no negative feelings, it will hit the projection screen directly. But if you're in an upset, it's going to bend your intention. And so staying clear and staying in clarity is essential if you're making major decisions or if you're trying to create something new. And that's how we get blocked. Then the question is, how do we get unblocked? Well, that's what I started to get excited about doing. And actually now I do that for private clients because it's fun and it really helps people change the way they do all the things they're doing. So I get to scale through working through others. Okay. I'm gonna show you all how this works, and we'll just try it. So, Ping, could you help me out with this? So, can everyone look back at the original change that you wanted to make? You wrote it down at the beginning. So look back at that original change and think of what might block you from making that thing happen. What's holding you back? And now, as you think about that issue, can you locate the hottest feeling or the most intense feeling that you have in relation to that issue? And try to hold on to that feeling. Try to notice where that feeling is in your body and hold on to it. Okay. Do people have feelings that is this making sense? I have no idea. Okay, we're going to try. So, I'm going to do this with Ping, and Ping is going to say feeling clear out loud. That's the mantra or the key. Basically, by using this word, you're moving blood. The neuroscience demonstrates that if you speak to yourself in the third person, you actually move blood. They did this with an fMRI. You move blood from the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex. This is actually a more powerful way of doing that, but we didn't have an fMRI to be able to demonstrate it. We just demonstrated it by people being able to feel better. So, think about your feeling. Try to hold that feeling. Try to notice the amount of magnitude of that feeling. Okay? And Ping, do you want to just grab that for a second? Sure. And can you tell us just a little sense of what it is that might be blocking you or blocking what you want to see happen? And what the feeling is?
I have quite a few friends, young friends, ask me to help them do certain charity things, and it just blocks me not to appear to be a bad guy or not authentic guy. To say this is not what I'm interested in.
Okay. And what is the feeling that you get?
Feeling of not being authentic
to
what I just said.
Would that be guilt?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Okay.
A little bit guilt.
Great. Okay. So if you can try to notice where that guilt is, can you feel it in your body?
Yes, feel clear.
Can you tell me, I haven't started this yet. I'll give it to you in a second. I'm trying to locate it and notice it first.
Yeah.
So can you feel it in your body physically?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us where?
Where?
Yeah. The chest or okay.
The heart.
In the heart. Okay. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. So push into that feeling. Okay. And I'm going to ask everybody to push into the feeling that you're having. Okay. And I'm going to ask everybody to say feeling clear in your head. That's the mantra. And I'm going to ask Ping to say it out loud, and we're going to see what happens. So, okay. So now you're going to say feeling clear after each one. Okay, sure. What if you knew that your friends understood? Feeling clear.
Feeling clear.
What if you knew that not only do they understand, they're okay with it?
Feeling clear.
What if you knew that they were asking you because they wanted to interact with you?
Feel clear.
What if they were just trying to find a way to interact with you and that's the only thing they could come up with?
Feel clear.
Is this their way of showing you love?
Feel clear.
Is there a way you can find to show them love?
Feel clear.
Can you show them love without doing something you don't believe in?
Feel clear.
Even if you don't believe in the charities they want to do, is there a way you can support them and help them?
Feel clear.
Is there a way you can find to take responsibility for the situation and support them?
Feel clear.
What would support look like if it didn't mean the charities?
Feel clear.
Is there another kind of support that you could be giving them?
Feel clear.
What would that support be?
Want to answer?
No, feeling clear. Great. So, the idea of what we're doing is I'm saying things that are true, not true, relevant, not relevant, doesn't matter. Hopefully they have an emotional charge. And by having an emotional charge, what they do is they start to change the frame of the person who's interacting with those ideas. And hopefully the feeling starts to change, and often the feeling will lead to either an insight, or it will change in magnitude or quality. So, how does that, what happened for you?
Well, I have to say it's very powerful. Just the first two questions they asked me, they really hit me on the spot. It's maybe there's another way that I make the wrong assumption. I cannot disappoint them or her. But actually, by the way you asked me all this question, I feel like this is a way that you should try to reach out to me.
Oh, okay, beautiful. So if you go back to that place where the guilt is, can you still feel it?
I think it's much better. I don't feel that much guilt anymore.
Oh, okay.
At least.
Okay.
I haven't done anything yet. Once I take the action,
yeah,
I think the guilt will go away.
Okay. So could there possibly be a little fear around taking the action?
Yeah, fear of being not looking so noble.
So noble. Oh, beautiful. Okay. So fear of not looking noble. Okay. Do you mind if we do one more small round?
Sure.
Okay. And I'm going to ask everybody, try to pick up from where you're feeling left off, and then, again, feeling clear in your head. So, feeling clear after each one. Don't I need to feel noble? Feeling clear. If I don't feel noble, don't I feel unempowered? What if I know that my nobility comes from the way they see me? What if I have no control over my nobility? It's entirely up to them.
Totally feel clear.
What if I knew that the way I approach them is all I have control over?
Feel clear.
What if I had complete control over the experience I have of them?
Feel clear.
What if I knew that they love me, they're trying to include me, they always thought I was noble, and I could never not be noble in their eyes?
Feel clear.
Can I appreciate the circumstance that I have with them?
Feel clear.
Can I see that I don't need to fear how I show up because I'm already in my integrity? Can I see that I'm in my integrity when I go to them and I am trying to help or be supportive? Can I see that when I'm of service to them, that's all that matters? Beautiful. Thank you.
It's great.
Thank you very much.
Can I say you helped me a lot?
Oh, good. And you helped me a lot. Thank you. Thank you. So I'll just ask, did you feel a shift? And if you did, can you raise your hand, and I'm going to ask you to tell me what it was like. So, you know, you have to be willing to talk in front of everybody, which I'm kind of scared of personally, so. Michael, do you want to tell us what you felt?
So, well, mine's actually quite complex. So the thing I identified was policy reform to end bureaucracy in Canada. So I have a pivotal role in national dialogues, working with the public-private sector. So the feeling for me is that where I come from in the north, we have treaties in Canada, which are agreements between Indigenous and non-Indigenous Canadians. So just speaking of it develops the feeling for me. And so one of the challenges for it has to be, the root is complex and unresolved trauma in the country. So one of my challenges when I work in forums, I deal with audiences who have extreme views of racism and discrimination towards the social enterprise. So there are some audiences that want to work with, but there are others who just do not want to be part of the conversation. But they are the key factors to ensure that this, when you're talking about the risk, that's the risk that I take to work with those audiences. So anyways, when you were mentioning the feeling clear, I actually inherently talked about it as like feeling clear, but when I work with those that are exhibiting those really intense views from a national dialogue, I take it upon myself to say, is it about them or is it about me? And so once I get to that further step, so what you're saying though is really pivotal about really being able to share your message, but do it in a manner where it's not emotionally triggered. So,
beautiful. Thank you so much. Let's see. Okay. So now I've spent, I don't know, 15 minutes or something doing that work. Hopefully you felt something. Hopefully it was effective for you. But either way, I've now spent time working for you. And you now owe me that time back. Because that's how time banking works. But rather than you giving me that time back, and let's say it's 15 minutes, okay? Let's be really specific. Let's say everyone owes me 15 minutes. Rather than giving me that time back, can everyone spend 15 minutes at some point in the next 2 days or 3 days with somebody, giving your talent, giving your genius, giving your passion to somebody else in this room to help them with solving the original question that they wrote down? I'm going to ask you all to do that, and I would imagine that interesting stories will come from that. And I will ask you to share those stories with me, because I love those stories, and that's how I get to see how it's working. So I want to thank you all very much. This has been wonderful talking with you, and I know this is a bizarre kind of methodology, but I am really interested in getting away from always talking content and strategy and venture, and I have been trained in that with new entrepreneurs and with people who are trying to create things. I'm trying to talk to them about what does it take for what they're trying to manifest in the world. What does it take for them to have the clarity to bring that intention to life? Because even before we talk about what's their user journey and have they figured out what the blocks are and have they put together all the different things that come along in venture thinking, before all of that, it's, am I the right person to be doing this? Is this what I really want to create? Is this what I really want to manifest? Is this what my intention truly is? And these are questions that I think, at least my experience in social entrepreneurship has been that these questions don't get asked enough from the beginning, and we end up creating as Ping was saying, so many different entrepreneurial endeavors and ventures and this, that, and the other thing, and it's only useful if you come up with a really good one and you do it for the right reasons. Otherwise, join somebody else who's making one. Or go on TimeRepublik and start your social enterprise there, because you'll be starting it from a completely different style and kind. You'll only be working with people's passion because that's all we trade in. Yeah, I think that's good. So don't forget to send me your stories. And if you want more of my time, then get in touch with me for that as well. And thank you very much.
Wallach 的精彩演说。那本场次接续的台湾讲者为联合报系愿景工程师董事长李彦甫董事。